I don't like my friend's apartment. For someone so colorful and lively, there's a heavy stillness that weighs the place down. It gets very little natural light despite having windows that face the central courtyard. Two walls in the living room are painted black, meeting at the corner where her gray sectional is tucked in. There's a lamp or two, but they only emit a dim glow, even with fresh light bulbs. When a few of us have been over to hang, the vibe seems to dampen everyone's mood by the time we leave. She once told me that a little girl had been murdered in the complex in the 70s by the father, and that the building manager alluded that it happened in her very apartment. I always chalked up the feeling to that. Whether or not you believe in ghosts or anything of the sort, you can't deny the creepiness of a murder scene. I'd known she hadn't been feeling well, so I wasn't surprised when our mutual friend suggested that we drop by with drinks and snacks to cheer her up. The entire time I'd known her, she'd had a variety of ailments, from toothaches to ear infections to pulled-back muscles and bruises she couldn't explain. Her not feeling well was nothing new. Of course, I agreed. Unusually, I was the first to arrive, managing to snag a parking spot across the street. The entry to the building has those mid-century style cement blocks and enormous glass doors, with the courtyard just beyond. A woman stood in front of the glass. It was rare to see one of the neighbors. The building was pretty quiet, and it seemed like everyone kept to themselves. She was muttering to herself and stared when she noticed me approaching. Her dark hair was pulled back in a stringy bun, and her eyes were sallow and sunken. It was hard to tell if she was older or younger than me, only that life had been harsh. There are plenty of mentally ill people in the city. Hell, I'm one of them. So I smiled, and it spurred her to punch in the code and open the door for me. But she only pushed it open slightly, situating herself against it so my chest grazed hers as I squeezed past, staring at me the entire time. My "excuse me" didn't seem to have any effect. She followed me in, and I could feel her eyes on my back as I rounded the corner to my friend's ground floor unit. I knocked once, and my friend ripped the door open as if she'd been waiting for me on the other side. She quickly ushered me in, and when she closed the door, I mentioned the woman. My friend is striking, with beautiful large eyes that everyone seems to get lost in. But I'd never seen them get so big, the whites fully exposed like a panicked horse. They were made all the more unsettling by the uncomfortable smile tightly stretched across her chapped lips. Her voice dropped to the barest whisper, and I had to lean in to hear her say, "That woman is trying to kill me." She went on to explain a series of bizarre occurrences with this neighbor from the last 9 years, long before I knew her, and I listened with a growing sense of alarm. She'd never mentioned this neighbor before, and I'd never seen her until that day. The woman lived in the apartment directly above her and constantly accused my friend of playing loud music and rearranging her furniture at all hours of the night, banging on her floor in retaliation. She claimed she could hear all her conversations, whether on the phone or with friends or lovers who came over. She always emerged when my friend left her apartment, gripping the rail and leaning over dangerously to watch her go. She'd gone to the building manager and the police, insisting that my friend's previous roommate was stalking her, despite him being at his boyfriend's more often than home and never having spoken to her. She would scream for an unseen black car across the street to leave her alone, often involving the cops in that too. My friend confessed she suspected this neighbor was going through her trash, having noticed her following with her own bags whenever she took garbage to the dumpster out back. She didn't even know the woman's name. Any early attempt to be friendly had been met with intense, disconcerting stares and silence. She only referred to her as 2A. "I think she's schizophrenic or something," she finished wanly. Only half joking, I told her she needed a gun. Our other friend arrived shortly after. She didn't bring up the neighbor, only that we had to keep it down. We played music videos on the TV at a low volume and settled in with our drinks and snacks. I'd brought over a nice joint to share, and her mood slowly relaxed, the cheer in her voice picking up again. She sat in the corner of her couch. It was her usual spot. As we passed the joint around, she updated us on her life. She'd been having headaches recently and was passed over for a promised promotion at work. Her situationship ended poorly with a minor STI, There was a falling out with a friend who'd suddenly turned cold. Her car was having issues and she couldn't afford,